This stream is sponsored by IGK TAS, telemetry analysis system powered by IGK.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League Racing TV for some more TTML action, and we are at one of the most historic circuits in Formula 1, one that has seen plenty of championship challenges. It is the Suzuka circuit for round 7 out of 10, the Japanese Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. Joining me once again in the commentary box, as always on a Thursday, is Pepsi Freak. Pepsi, how are you doing?
I am doing personally well here. Again, a fan, I would say 100% a fan favorite by the drivers. Personally, I like it. I know you like it, at least in some other video games, but it's a great track, and I think it's going to be very fun racing here today. I think it's going to catch a few drivers out, and hopefully, because, you know, variety is the spice of life, hopefully with a few drivers getting caught out, maybe we have a good race here today, maybe see something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, see, quick track map there, of course. A circuit we all know, very unique, only figure of 8 circuit in Formula 1. I imagine one of the few in motor racing as well. Very twisty, does ask a lot of the drivers. Can see quite a few incidents around this track as well. You can always get that little threat of weather, and we had a bit of that last time out at the Belgium Grand Prix, where we had some quite different results to what we are used to seeing in a way. It was a completely new winner. Wolsey took the win as a reserve driver from pole position. He finished first, the best result of the season for AMG and Neymar as well. The two Mercedes drivers finishing second and third. Zoidema somehow, though, extended his lead in the championship after a bad qualifying. After getting a drive-through penalty, he still extended his lead. He's now 42 points ahead of Scott, 139 points versus 97. Corwin Robb looking like he was going to close in on that gap until a mistake on the final lap. He is on 92. Tibos has 81. Neymar now moves up into the top 5 on 74 points. Unsurprisingly, it was been such a good race for Mercedes. They've bumped themselves up a bit in the Constructors' Championship. Not really near the top of the standings, still there in 5th place. Williams are leading by 24 points, and Alpine, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, and Haas. It's getting towards crunch time now for a lot of these drivers. It's now or never if they want to stop Zoidema taking this championship. He's still looking in good form. Last week kind of showed what we expect from champions. Even when things go bad, you manage to make the best of things and still manage to get away with a very reasonable result in 6th place.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I remember from other people's championships, sometimes just have a golden horseshoe and it feels like it's somewhere on your person. And it doesn't seem like you can ever take it off because it feels like, oh, you're going to have a bad run, then someone else crashes. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And our championship leader, Zoidema, has been, yeah, it's been good. But last week definitely was a little bit more on the lucky side. But he needs some, if he can't rely on luck forever, because if he keeps making those mistakes like last week, and Scott and Rob don't, this could be a lot more feisty, but I think Zoidema definitely is still in good form, and it's going to take a mountain of a challenge in order to take him down.
Yeah, certainly. This is a track where we see plenty of mistakes. We were talking about it off air just beforehand. Gravel traps are plenty. The S section, particular, 130R obviously used to be a challenge. Now it's flat out in the dry in a modern Formula 1 car, but that S section, that first sector, it's going to be really tricky for all the drivers to get around unscathed.
Luckily, no rain in the forecast here today. It's going to be a nice, dry session at the very least for qualifying and the race. Maybe a little cooler, but it's definitely going to be dry. So that one extra challenge, if they've been trying their wet setups, they aren't going to be in use, at least for today. So we don't have to worry about last week where we were talking about possibly seeing Rob go flat out 130R in the wet trying to make an overtake. But we may still see that in the dry, though. So we'll have to wait and see on those Accords.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. As you can see, it's lovely and dry for the 15 drivers that we have got tonight, and a few of them are now starting to make their way down the pit lane. There was no stewards inquiries as well last time, which is always nice to see after a bit of a messy race previously in Silverstone. Yeah, shocking, especially given the conditions. You might have seen on my social media some absolutely brilliant racing between quite a few of the drivers. Corwin Robb going side by side with a couple up the hill with AMG and Neymar up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion last week. Hopefully we'll get similar action this time around. So the drivers just starting to head out on track. You've all seen this before. 18 minutes qualifying session, then a 50% race distance, which equates to 27 laps around here. Qualifying is crucial on every circuit, but only one DRS zone here at Japan, and it's not really into an easy overtaking opportunity. You need to get a good qualifying around this track.
That you do. You do need to get a good qualifying because you're not going to really make a pass going in the S section. There's a couple corners, if you're very fast in the car ahead of you, you could make it, like this hairpin that Quanti's going in now, but you got to be very daring on the brakes. But yeah, you got to just bide your time. Really, 130R, and even then, that's kind of sketchy to make a pass around side by side in some conditions. So yeah, qualifying is matter. It's not the most prevalent circuit where qualifying matters. That would be Monaco, for instance. But you definitely need at least a somewhat good qualifying session in order to really help your odds. If you're coming from 15th, you're not going to be able to pull Raikkonen unless chaos around you strikes.
Yeah, let's not forget that amazing 2005 race. I still think the best race Kimi Raikkonen ever drove in Formula 1, coming from 17th on the grid after a bad qualifying in wet conditions to take the victory on the final lap, just pipping Giancarlo Fisichella, and it turned out to be the Iceman's last ever victory for the McLaren team. But let's go on board then with Neymar. Got a podium last time out, see what he can do around the Suzuka circuit. First used in 1987, was the title decider in the first 5 years it was used in Formula 1, but it won't be tonight. Heading now down towards turn number 1 and 2, just not even a lift because you come through turn 1, braking hard though for the second corner now, just hitting that curb, and it is this S section. You'll see the modulation on the brakes and the throttle, just making sure that you're getting everything right. Line only, of course, in this league, which will help them ever so slightly, but no ABS, no traction control means you can't afford to be too greedy through this part of the circuit. Through Dunlop curb, making sure that you don't run too wide there. I've seen many drivers head off through that part of the circuit and through Degner 1 and 2 as well. 32.3 first sector for the Danish driver. Now heading up the hill towards his hairpin. We saw Kamui Kobayashi throw a few dives into that one in his time at Sauber on the way to his podium in 2012. The last ever Japanese driver to claim a podium in Formula 1. Neymar now coming up ready towards the spoon curve. A very tricky double left-hander towards the end of the second sector. Easy to run wide at the first part, easy to do so at the second part, and again that little bit of gravel just to keep your attention focused. Now uphill past the grid for the west circuit. It can be split into a west and an east circuit, and through 130R in an old car. Very tricky. Modern Formula 1, nice and simple in these conditions. Heading towards probably one of the best overtaking opportunities on the track. The Casio Triangle, the chicane. Someone's already wiped out some of the bollards. Doesn't prove too much of a distraction though for the Mercedes driver. He heads towards the finish line, and it's a 129.0. Great job there from him, and I think we have had a spinner already in the S's. I think Phoenix has had an issue in the McLaren. Looks to have got away relatively unscathed.
Phoenix spun, and I was watching some other people that happened. Also, as we do got Conti as well, coming right before the start of the S section. He's lost it. But one other thing worth noting is I was talking Tibos, he lost it in Dagna, and he also kicked out. So we are seeing 3 spins already. So if this is a sign of things to come, we may see some drivers really, because it's a track where it punishes you for pushing too hard. It's like you could say, just like a flow. You have to find the flow in this track. Too hard and you'll spin it. Too low and you'll be too slow. I'd say too less and you'll be slow, basically. So you have to try to find the ebb and flow, you could say, to make it fast. And some drivers are going to over push to make it happen. But Zudima actually goes with the 128.868. So currently our pole sitter is currently our points leader, and he's well over at least 3 tenths up on Neymar Gaming.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what Tom can do. First driver to give it a go on the medium tyres. It is a fairly standard one-stop strategy around this circuit, definitely on this game. Tom hugging the right-hand side. You don't have to worry about that bump that cost everyone back in the days of F1 2019 and previous games. That bump is going to give me nightmares, I think, forever about this Suzuka circuit. Tom, 5th place and 1.1 seconds off, about what you would expect on that set of tyres. Let's see what the man second in the championship can do. Red Bull, of course, Honda engines around this circuit. They are running a special livery this weekend for the Turkish Grand Prix, which would have been the Japanese Grand Prix in tribute to Honda, so very nice to see them doing that. And Scott not looking bad whatsoever. 32.2 in the first sector, 39.9 in the second. He's about a 10th down on Zoidema at the moment, but could get him onto that second place.
Indeed, we'll see where he comes down the line here. It's going to be close. Can he get a better run on Sector 3 here? It's going to be a run to the line. It's not going to be pole position. He's about what you said, about a 10th down, and that's a good lap, but definitely does not want to be that far behind. Well, not that far behind, just wants to be a little bit higher up the grounds here. But something worth noting is Tibos does have a purple Sector 1, and he's coming through I think the last couple corners here. So we'll see what Tibos puts his Alpine. Can he snatch pole position away from the top 2? No, he cannot. Only go P4. So that purple Sector 1 was fast, but looks like he did cost himself some time in the second and third sectors. Still green, but definitely not to his accord. So he's the fastest in the first, but slower in second and third, though. So pole still was Zudima, but we still got a couple more challenges here, including I think the Haas driver of Caladere, but he's invalidated, so we'll have to see if anyone else can challenge our pole sitter.
Yeah, Zoidema, fastest of everyone in the second and third sector, and in that middle sector, fastest of everyone by about 2 tenths of a second at the moment. That is why he's looking pretty good at the top of the timings charts. And like you said, Tibos just a bit far off. Phoenix, he's recovered from that spin earlier on. We have got another yellow flag. I think that is just a car getting out of the way. Phoenix heads towards the finish line, puts him up into 5th place at the moment. Fastest of everyone in that final sector. On a second lap on these tyres, it's something, we've said it a lot, it seems to be a feature on this game. You can get 2 laps out of the soft tyres all of a sudden, but might just compromise yourself for the start of the race.
I think it comes down to track in the situation. I know when I sim raced back in 2020, there was a situation where sometimes I felt comfortable doing a second lap on the tires, but sometimes when I did my pre-race prep, sometimes I've realized it's better only do one and just take the risk of where I'm in track position, because it would throw my strategy in a mix, because it could be a situation where the one stop then became close or a lot harder to do and try to stretch. So it's a situation where I think it comes down to how you drive, because we know Zudima can be very conservative on that rubber. So if he wants to take a second lap, he can more likely can. But there's some other drivers that really push their tires that only one lap is probably best for them if they want to keep the one stop or strategy, something similar, in play.
Yeah, just a quick reminder, seeing as we're looking at Zoidema of that championship situation, he is 42 points ahead in the championship. You can get 30 for a win and 1 for the fastest lap. So with 4 races remaining, still 124 points. The most he can be ahead at the end of the night is 73. So the championship will still be on, even if he takes a win and gets the fastest lap. And Scott doesn't score any points, and Carvin, Rob, Tibos don't score well either, but it would be extremely difficult for them if that is what happens. He's going to be one of the first drivers on an out lap then. We've seen, well, on a hot lap. We have got a couple of others though. David Chahud now just coming through the first sector. A very respectable performance from David in Belgium. We didn't really speak about him too much. Can't remember him making some mistakes when a lot of the bigger name drivers, for want of a better term, did. And got himself joint best result of the season, 5th place. Must give him a lot of confidence coming to this place.
Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's just better just to fly under the radar in a situation where there's no pressure. David Shaw has not been as fast as his Ferrari teammate, and there's maybe some pressure to try to challenge. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's better to be under the radar, because when you have a good result, people kind of take guys and pop. When you have a bad result, it won't be as bad because people didn't expect much out of you. So it's better to have a little bit lower expectations, you could say, and smash those expectations than have super high expectations and come up very short and struggle to get a situation. Because Chaw does have a green sector 1 here. It does look all right. We'll have to see where he slots in. He's got another green here per se. It looks like, looking at the times here, he's around Neymar Gaming's 2nd sector and Neymar's 1st, so it could be interesting. He could be up there in the top 3 here. So as he goes to the last couple corners here, right past the Ferris wheel where the Coca-Cola sign's not existent, it's going to be a run down the line, and it's going to be P4 with a 129.170. Just misses out of passing Neymar Gaming, but not a bad run from the Ferrari. But Carway Rob, his teammate, as he's coming through Sector 2 right now, and does have a purple Sector 2 with 39.762, so he's going to the same sectors as well. This could be a pole run. He needs to get pole position here to definitely help himself in the championship run, and it's going to be, as he runs down the line, it's going to be pole position, a 128.546. Smashing time there. Only does it with a purple Sector 1 and 2, though. Did not go faster than the 3rd. So still some time out there that maybe Zudima can smash as he comes to the last section as well.
Yeah, we've got Neymar coming through the final sector now. What can he do? He goes into pole position, 128.509. The times are really starting to come down here around Suzuka. Zoidema heads across the line. He can only stay in 3rd place. It is a slight improvement, but not...
He bobbled it. I just want to say he did bobble it in the 3rd sector. The car did kick out just a little bit, so that cost himself some time there. So that's where I think he still would have been probably 3rd, but he definitely would have been a little closer as AMG goes. He would have probably been around AMG's time, as now he's at a 128.607.
Yeah, I was about to say, Zoidema, he was purple in the 1st sector, not even green in the final 2 sectors. So that is what's cost him, really. Gained quite a lot of time early on. Lost it on the rest of the lap. So AMG up into 3rd place as well. The Mercedes just seem to be coming alive just at the right point of the season. Only 51 points behind in the constructors. I know we said for drivers, starting to look like Zoidema's running away with that. The top 6 teams separated by 52 points in the constructors, and the most points a constructor can get is 56. So mathematically, it's unlikely, but mathematically McLaren could jump from 6th to 1st tonight. We will have to see what the different teams can do and what the different drivers' sort of performances that they can put in. Calais Dare, the only driver yet to set a lap at the moment. Elite Dave just pulling well out of the way, doesn't want to be interfering anyone on their lap. Let's see what Sway's doing at the moment. I think he might have been he might have backed off on this lap. Yeah, just taking it very easy at the moment. Do have to wonder if he's made a mistake early on. So let's see which other drivers we've got on the lap. And purple in Sector 1, it is Scott B7. What can he do? Can he get himself up the order? The sole Red Bull driver tonight, and both of them have been showing some really good pace, and that might just cost him ever so slightly tonight. He's not got his teammate to help him along, but neither has Zoidema.
I was gonna say, Azadam is basically kind of carrying himself in the start. I don't want to be mean to his teammate here, but it's kind of been a one-man show to agree because his other teammate only has about 38 points, while the Ferraris have been kind of doubly scoring along with the Red Bulls and a few other teams. So it may not be, it's something that's gonna hurt because he's not gonna have that extra fighter up front, but at the same time, you don't, and having an extra strategy to run off on. But at the same time, it may be a little bit less pressure knowing that, all right, I don't have to worry about beating my teammate here. I can just focus on what's ahead of me. And we'll see here as he comes to the last corners here. He does not improve in Sector 2, though, but his time looks kind of relatively around the same. Actually, he's about 2 times slower in the second sector, so this probably won't be a pull run unless he finds really much time in the third sector. It's going to be a 128.667, so that second sector really did cost him there, because if he could have improved a little bit more in there, we could be talking about Scott being on pole, or at least being somewhere in that top 3.
Yeah, certainly. And if
oh, the wall, Tibos. Sorry to cut you off. Tibos hard in the wall there. Going up to the, right before that long straight before 130R, he hits the entire wall, wheel off, session done. He's been kind of struggling. He did clip some of the grass some earlier laps, so he's been really struggling. He was on a flyer, and he could not improve, and the Haas driver, Kalere, goes 8th.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you're wondering where we get all this sector information from, and from the penalties, it is thanks to our friends at IGK Taz. Make sure to check out that system, !help in the chat, and that will give you all the information you need about what commands to use to get some good information. Right, we'll see what Sonoda's doing at the moment. He hasn't invalidated his lap, so he's not going to be improving.
He also doesn't have a wing, so he lost it somewhere. So, a bit odd. So, yeah, he's up against the pit with 4 minutes to go. He needs to quickly get in and out if he wants to try to improve.
I'm impressed with how well he was taking some of those corners, to be perfectly honest, without a front wing. He was doing very well indeed. Maybe he's found a bit of a secret to get a bit more straight line speed down some parts of the circuit. Dresse, his teammate, he's invalidated as well, so a lot of drivers finding it pretty hard at the moment. 4 minutes 27 remaining. Neymar on for his second pole position of this season. That would put him joint with Salt for the most pole positions. Zoidema, Neymar, Volzi and Lennart currently had 1 each at the moment. Salt the only driver with 2 pole positions. We'll see what Tom can do as he heads through the final sector. Doesn't look like he's improving too much at this moment in time, and yeah, comes into the pits at 129.9. Not really a representative lap time earlier, as that was set on the set of the soft tyres, well, medium tyres. It's all getting very quiet out there. Dave, one of the few drivers out on track at the moment. Phoenix and Caladre just heading back towards the pits. It's looking good for, you'd imagine, those top 5. They look clearly, just looking at the gap between Zoidema and David Chahod, 4/10 of a second. Absolute great gaping chasm in league racing terms.
You know what kind of shocks me, though, is that Phoenix has the purple sector 3. 3 different drivers have purple sectors. You got Scott with a purple sector 1, Neymar with a purple sector 2, and Phoenix with a purple sector 3. And looking at Phoenix's second sector, if he can get that down a little bit, he could be in that contention as well. His first times aren't that bad. He's about 4 times off those from Scott, and his second sector, he's well over 4 times off. Actually, I think he was 6 times off. So it's a situation where if he can find some more time, he could be up there as well. But he's fine time in the third sector, but struggling for the other 2, which is a bit odd. And now Sonoda's going out as well. And sorry, that's Desiree, my mistake. So I think we're going to see a couple drivers starting to make a break for Pater, you could say. With about 2 minutes to go here, if they want to take 2 attempts, they should be leaving relatively soon. But right now, just to finish the point on Dave, he does have a green sector 1, though. So we'll have to see where he slots in his the rest of his lap here.
Yeah, Dave, 18th in the championship at the moment, finished 12th in Britain, 11th in Belgium, so he's showing steady signs of improvement. The 2 races he's taken part in, he has managed to see the checkered flag in both, and that pretty much guarantees you points in TTML. 19 drivers do score points, and Dave, he's flying again at the moment. Green in sector number 2, not purple as it showed on the screen, but this is definitely a time that's going to challenge for drivers likes of David Chahud and Tibos, maybe towards 6th and 7th place at the moment. Comes towards the line. I think he went way too deep actually into the chicane, and that did cost him. Was about 4 tenths up in the end, ended about 1.5 tenths up. So 12th place, just ahead of his teammate. We are seeing a lot of the drivers now starting to come out of the pit lane. I think we'll see the final ones coming out soon. There goes Neymar and Carwin Rob. I think both Ferraris, some of the last drivers to come out. They're only going to get 1 run. It's not something we've talked about on this circuit. It is fairly long, so traffic from that point of view isn't a massive issue, but because of how much downforce you need, dirty air can play a bigger part, and it's not the easiest to let people by on, especially if you catch them up in the first sector. Can be very tricky.
Yeah, indeed, yeah, especially you get caught in a bad situation. That S6, there's not really anywhere to pull off, so you kind of get held up here. So it's a situation where you get that little extra toe, but it's a situation where you may be a little bit kind of metaphorically screwed. If you get it, now Davis decided to call it a session. He wouldn't have enough time to go anyway, so he decided to call it a session. But with all the drivers coming around now, we still got a couple more sectors to go. Basically, right now, with one lap basically to go and some change, basically put on your Hachimaki and get ready to go, because it's one lap put or a shut up. You're going to have to find the spirit, get the driving ability, and just go right on forward. And let's see if anyone can make a challenge for Neymar's pole and pick 128.509.
Yeah, the black Mercedes on pole position. Let's see the team that were known as the pink Mercedes last season, what they can do. Dresse a lot better in that first sector than his previous best run. He's down in 14th at this moment in time. Again, it's so close if you ignore that gap from Zoidema to David Shahud. He's 6 tenths off of 6th place at this moment in time. I don't know whether he'd want to be there, or maybe just wanted to start around about 11th place, trying that alternate strategy. Be lightning quick at the end of this race. The Aston Martin is going to be the first driver then to set the run. Yellow flags as all the drivers just start to back off ever so slightly and make sure they've got plenty of space. It might be a bit of a squeeze for the Ferraris if they don't get a move on. Can't see how long's left in this session. They're going to make
seconds.
it just with about 6 or 7 seconds remaining, I think, for the pair of them as they head towards the finish line. Again, Dresse still improving despite a bit of a worse middle sector for him. Yellow flag in sector 1. Just trying to see what that is. It's one of the McLarens again. Tom's has had a spin. Dresse gets it wrong coming out the final corner, heads towards the line. Does still improve though, gets himself up into 8th place. So Tom, he's not going to do any better than 15th. Next man towards the line is going to be the teammate of Dresse. It is going to be Sonoda.
Indeed, there. Also, Scott has made a mistake as well. I think, yeah, he's in the track as well, so he made a mistake in the SX as well, so no chance for Scott to improve. No purples anywhere so far on this circuit at the very least, so no one's... Actually, sorry, Carly Robb does have a purple sector 1, so right now he makes a challenge, and he gets a little squirrely off X. You can also see a Mercedes off there as well. I think it's AMG, so a lot of drivers are really pushing hard, maybe a little bit too hard, and we're not seeing anything worth noting. Sonoda does go P6 across the line, so knock him up a spot. But as we go through the last of the run here, we got a couple more drivers crossing, keeping on it. We do got Zunima going P2, so our championship leader is now in 2nd. And with a handful of drivers to go here, it could still be a lot to play for here. But I just don't know if anyone's got anything to challenge Neymar yet.
Yeah, one of the Mercedes is on the spin as well. I think that was AMG. David Chahud has retired. Kaladre's in the gravel. They're all starting to mess up at the moment. Neymar just looking very relaxed out there, slightly faster so far around this lap. Can he get into the 128.4s? The Mercedes heads towards the line. It is a 128.384. Great improvement from him in the final sector. Corbin Robb slightly squibbly coming out of the final corner. Can he get himself up into 2nd? He does by 24 thousandths of a second. I think it is just pretty much now the drivers that have already made mistakes. Tom Scott and Kaladre, those drivers coming into the pit. So it is going to be Neymar for the 2nd time this season starts on pole position, and Corbin Robb just ahead of Zoidema, who I don't think will be too worried about the fact that he's qualified in 3rd place, especially given how good he seems to be on tyres.
That indeed. Actually, what's worth noting right now is Carl Robb had a purple 1 and a purple 3. Only mistake he made was coming right out of the Degna, and basically in that right corner, it back and kicked out, and he almost did something similar to F1 AMG. He would have probably had a pole run there if not for that mistake, but that is racing for you. But I think that Ferrari's got some sneaky fast pace. But is it one-lap pace or is it race pace? We'll have to wait and see, because you could be fast on a Saturday Warrior, but on Sundays be a little slow, and that won't help you, because it's qualifying and race are 2 different crafts of etiquette, and we'll have to wait and see how it sets up. But yeah, Neymar Gaming, will have pole position here today at the very least.
Yeah, he is on pole position. Then Corbin Robb, as you can see, in 2nd place, and Zoidema in 3rd. AMG in 4th place. The Mercedes again proving to be very good around here, as we saw them do last week. Scott is in 5th place, didn't get a final run. Who knows what could have been if he had have done. Sonoda in 6th, Sway, David Chahud, Tibos and Conte, the drivers rounding out the top 10. Dresse will be the first man who can get a free choice of tyre on the alternate strategy. He was 11th, and it is an all Danish 6th row of the grid as Kaladre is alongside him. Phoenix made a few mistakes, he's 13th, and then it is Dave and Tom. Scored points in every race so far this season. It's going to be very difficult to see what he can do around here. Very close qualifying session there. Interesting, though, that Neymar's... I still believe, well, his 2nd run would have still been good enough to get him on the front row. That is, showed that he has a lot of consistency around this place.
That indeed, so that is something to keep an eye on because that's the consistency he needs. It's definitely something that will help him. Maybe he just feels very comfortable around this track. Maybe this feels like a circuit that he knows he can do because some drivers love certain circuits. Maybe this is Neymar's kind of circuit where he just feels very comfortable on and can really put down some good times. But at the same time, it could be just, I wouldn't say a false positive, but maybe he just had a couple good runs of quality. But obviously, one mistake going in the S section, again, pushing a little bit too hard, and you could be looking the wrong way around no matter how good you go.
Yeah, certainly. It's very easy. We have seen, I think it was at Monza where Neymar got the pole position. Just made a mistake coming out the pit lane, a bit colder tyres. Ended up spinning around. Got his first podium last week. Maybe that has just given him that little bit of confidence that you need. And Formula 1, it's a lot about that. It's all about what's between your ears, never mind what's behind the wheels in these Formula 1 cars. But let's see the track that they're going on today. Of course, it is the famous Suzuka International Circuit, owned by Honda. 5.807 kilometres, 3.608 miles, 18 corners, only the one DRS zone, and plenty of elevation change and plenty of tricky corners to keep the drivers entertained over the next 27 laps. As we are quickly going to have a look at what tyres the order drivers are on then around this circuit. Softs for the top 10. Only man outside the top 10 on a set of softs is Tom. Everyone else has gone for a set of the medium tyres, and we are expecting this to be soft medium or medium soft race.
Yeah, indeed as well. Unless you kind of crash out early, maybe go for a set of hards. But yeah, most people are going to be going soft, medium, soft, because it is possible for the most part to do it in this percentage of race here. You may be a little struggling, but I think with the new wear, how quickly you can take it, these drivers are a lot more better on the tires than myself. So you may see a couple drivers, they really roast the tires, may have to try a 2 or go for a set of hards. But most drivers probably will be able to do soft, medium, and medium soft.
Yeah, certainly. If you have some of the championship contenders, we'll talk about the top 3. So Zoidema in 3rd, Scott in 5th, Carwin Rob in 2nd. How do you approach this race? I imagine if you're Zoidema, you can afford to be a tiny bit more careful. You don't want to be letting everyone past you in a bit of a mobile chicane. If you're Rob and Scott, you've got to try and take the lead of this race. Scott especially, he's got to try and work his way up the order. He does not want to be losing any more points to the Williams driver tonight.
Honestly, if I'm Zoidema right now, again, the thing is, it's something where a big lead can sometimes mess with your head a little bit because it's so big that you think you can do no wrong. So if I'm Zoidema right now, you don't want to take it conservatively because it'll throw you out of your mojo. So if something does happen, then it's hard to get that switch reflipped. He's in good form right now. He doesn't want to try to monkey with that. But at the same time, we remember what happened to Senna, Prost, or other examples. Drivers go into corner 1 and they go a little too aggressive. You can see it in F1 lobbies all the time in these games, or iRacing lobbies, or Gran Turismo lobbies, or whatever game Suzuka's in. You see drivers go too aggressive into it and shove each other off. So a situation where Zoidema has to be conservative, and it's better to probably give up a couple spots off the start and survive instead of getting doored into the wall, and next thing you know, you're in the kitty litter, and that's race over. But if you're Rob and Scott, you have to go aggressive now because you cannot let the championship go too far, but you can't wreck it. But if you go and wait till round 9 to be uber aggressive, it may be too late.
Yeah, certainly. All the drivers then just starting to get into their grid slots now for the 7th time this season. We've got Zoidema, championship leader, in 3rd place. What can Neymar do from pole position? It's a fairly decent sized run towards turn 1 at this circuit, and I'm sure he'll be hoping that he does make it round turn 1, or makes it round turn 1, just to be perfectly honest with you, as we are now waiting for the lights to come on here at Japan. We've got 5 lights. And we're underway then for the Japanese Grand Prix. What are the starts like? It looks like a fairly decent start from the front 2 drivers. Rob's going to try and have a go here down the inside into turn 1. If he can get enough of his car alongside, has to yield. And now Zoidema tries to swing it all the way around the outside. Scott's had a brilliant start. Conti has had a spin in the background coming out of turn 1. And it's actually Rob leading the race. Scott here fighting with Neymar side by side. Gets himself up to P2. Ideal start for those two in the championship. Zoidema's finding himself getting shuffled down the order as well. Sonoda has managed to get ahead of him, who's now made a mistake coming through Dunlop, and Zoidema just has to hold back ever so slightly. Dresser's made a position as well up on that set of medium tyres. Phoenix facing the wrong way at Dunlop. That allows Dave to get ahead of him as well. So it is Rob, Scott, Neymar, your top 3 drivers at the moment. Zoidema all over the back of the Aston Martin of Sonoda. Can't quite get it done down the inside. Just sort of putting his nose in, though, has caused the Aston Martin to get wide. And if these two keep battling, that might allow the top drivers to get away. But again, a slight mistake from Sonoda. And that is Zoidema back up into 4th.
Monty off to the kitty litter there. He's got no front wing. He'll have to limp it around. But him and Phoenix really struggled on that opening lap. They're the only two spinners. But something that really caught my eyes, Redeem actually had a good start. He just got boxed in. There was nowhere to go because Rob covered one slot, Neymar covered the other, and he kind of was just been pinned on the outside, and that allowed Scott to take the inside to get around him. And same thing with Sonoda. Now, at least Redeem has got around Sonoda. But yeah, it's a situation where sometimes you get the start right, and there was just nowhere to go, and he ended up losing spots. Now we got Scott on the back of Rob here, coming down the long straight here. I would be shocked if he tries to throw it up the insider, but it looks like Scott got the better run here. No DRS, remember, we got 2 more laps that's open. AMG just passed Sonoda, and we'll see if he can try to hang it around the outside. Will he think he'll think better of it for now, and he'll just tuck back in line, but there's definitely at least Scott has at least a little bit better pace coming off that last corner. Maybe something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, definitely. Scott by far the best first, well, him and Tom, best first laps of the race. Tom taking advantage of some mistakes and their fresh soft tyres. Scott just having to do it the old-fashioned way, getting your elbows out. Worst starts. Conti losing 5 places. Neymar losing 2. Seemed to just get it slightly wrong through the S's, and that is what caused all the issues. We have seen Conti come into the pits and new front wing, medium tyres. He'll be hoping he can stretch those tyres towards the end of this race. And still, Carvin Rob leading, Scott in second place. We have got another yellow flag. I think that's Phoenix, who is finding it really, really tricky. The McLarens seem to be struggling a bit around Japan at the moment, down in 13th and 14th place. Thankfully for Phoenix, he has avoided any damage once again. The pack staying fairly close together as things stand at the moment. Top 11 separated by, well, they're all within a second of the car in front. That means they'll be able to get the DRS. And for Tom, it is crucial he gets past Dave and gets onto that train. Has to use those soft tyres as much as he can in these first few laps while he's got the advantage.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, he's got to get that pace quickly here. Got to use those tires while they're still somewhat fresh here. As it looks like Nate Scott going to try it again. He really finds some time off that exit here. And it looks like, again, a situation where I feel like a pass maybe happening next time by with DRS. Because Scott just gets close. Well, never mind. It looks like it'll happen now. Going on the inside of the Honda boards here. Can he make it stick? It's going to be a drag race down the one here. The Red Bull driver, and they're going to be side by side. Can the Red Bull driver clear it? It's going to be Bargy, and oh, the Red Bull and the Ferrari come the blows. Rob goes off a little bit. Will luckily not avoid any too much damage there. Scott will take the position, but definitely a little slidey slide there. Thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. Both drivers definitely going hard here, and that's what Zudima kind of wants to see, because if both of them take each other out, could be easily 30-plus points for Zudima here today at the very least.
Yes, not the first time we've seen those two get pretty close together. That happened at Silverstone, and something about Red Bulls and Ferraris just seem to enjoy coming together. It's like watching Verstappen and Leclerc in the 2019 season, but that's allowed Neymar, Zoidema, and the rest of this pack just to close up ever so slightly. They're all in the DRS train. We've already seen how difficult it could be to overtake, so maybe this time around, if he can sort his exit out of the chicane, Carvin Rob might be able to get himself back into the lead of this race, but things seem to have been calming down ever so slightly. I think Tom's made a slight mistake. He's dropped well off the back of Elite NL Dave, so he's now still in 13th place, but 2.5 seconds off, and Dave has got himself onto the back of that train. Quite often at Suzuki, you see the racers just calm down and sort of reach that plateau. I'm not sure we're going to get this at the moment, because Rob and Scott are looking very aggressive.
We said that last week. We were thinking, when will Rob make a move around 130R? Well, I thought it was about to happen right there. But something to keep an eye on, as I thought my previous thing, I didn't bring it up to you, is that it's kind of easy to get a lot of extending track limits kind of penalties here, because when you push too hard in certain sectors, you just take 2 wheels off. That rings you up, and Carl Rob already has 2 warnings. So it's going to be very hard for him to avoid that 3rd warning right now and keep the pace. So we may see Rob get a 3-second time penalty very easy, as Sonoda has passed the other Ferrari, Chad, with 6. But yeah, again, it's very easy just pushing a little bit too hard and get a little bit off the rumble stick. You get knocked up for a warning, and too many of those, and you may really put yourself in a hole that you may not be able to dig yourself out of.
Yeah, Tom now in the pits. New set of medium tyres for him. Start of this race really hasn't gone to plan whatsoever. This could really knock McLaren out of the talking for that Constructors' Championship. They did have a slight chance of taking the lead despite being in 6th at the moment. Again, Scott was so much better coming out of the chicane and coming out of 130R. Then Carvin Rob last time around really allowed him to stretch a gap and not be under any pressure whatsoever coming down through the DRS straight. And in fact, it's Neymar who looks a lot closer to Carvin Rob. He's going to find it difficult in this DRS train. The undercut could be absolutely crucial in deciding who ends up taking the victory in this race. How early are the drivers going to push it to the pit stop? Maybe lap 7 or lap 8 before we start seeing drivers come in to try and do that undercut, as we've got a spinner, and that is Sway off the circuit, and I think Dressy as well, but Aston Martin and the Alpine, looks like they've made contact.
They indeed as well there. Didn't get a good look at it. I was kind of walking through the rest of the field here. So we'll probably hear from in chat a little bit later what happened there, if it was racing or not. We'll probably see a stewards report as well. But I just want to go back to that point on Rob and Neymar. I just think Rob struggles on exit. Maybe he's got to set up his very loose here because he's really struggling off exit to get that good run off the corner. He's okay in the he drives hard in the corners and gains time. Like just in one here, he gained some time on Scott. So he's very aggressive. He's attacking him very aggressively in the corners. But it's a situation where he just loses the back end, or he just gets a little too cocky on exit, and the thing loses its time. So he really needs to kind of keep, like either he needs to back off entry to save exit, or he needs to find a way to keep the car planted in the exit. And there's not much you can do with the setup now. So he needs to probably change drive style a little bit. But making that slight tweak could easily throw him for a ride here and make it even harder to stay up in the top front.
Yeah, the Ferraris are finding it pretty difficult at the moment. We've seen,
Sonoda.
As I say that, David Chahon has got ahead of Sonoda, because Sonoda is out of this race, and that is coming through the Dexter, and that is a safety car.
All right, that's actually kind of interesting because it's only lap 5. We'll get back to racing maybe on 7 or 8, so you may see a couple drivers pull down pit lane here. Because in theory, if the pit window opens around 8, at least we go by AMG predictions, they say 7, 8 is when pit stop window is. We may see some drivers throw it, but is it too early?
Well, it's a tough one. I think if you go into the hard tyres, no question whatsoever, they're going to make it. Do you want to be on a set of hard tyres? That's the $1 million question here. We'll see what the different drivers are doing. It doesn't say on Scott's screen that he's going into the pits at this moment, but he is. Yeah, Scott comes into the pits. Rob, that's a late decision to come into the pits. Wipes out the bollard with him, and a lot of these drivers are following and coming down pit road. In fact, all the cars that started on the soft tyres are coming into the pits, and it is a mix of strategies. It's medium, for Carvin Rob. It's mediums for Scott. Hards for the two Mercedes of Neymar and AMG. Looks like they're doing something different.
Yeah, indeed. Basically, Neymar and AMG are just banking, along with Elite Dave and the Haas driver as well. They're banking on this race. Obviously, they'll make it to the end, but they're banking on no safety cars. They're banking that those mediums fall off a cliff by the end. And I don't hate the strategy, but they are going to be so slow at the start that I don't know if they could even keep touch, because it's basically, if you're right now, actually, that's kind of what Scott and Rob want, because if Neymar can kind of be a little bit of a moving chicane for Zudima, they could easily pull out. But we know for a fact, I feel confident that if anyone can make this work, Zudima can make it work. But the rest of the field, I'm not 100%. I'd have to check old tire strats and all that. I don't have that data sitting on me right now. And if I was driving right now, I think I'd have to use my old data, and I think I'd go a set of hards if this was 2020. But right now, that's what I would do. What about you?
I'm going to be honest. I think I'd have gone for the mediums. Ooh. Definitely, if I was one of those that started on a set of softs, go for the mediums. If you're a driver like Caladre, like Elite Dave, like Phoenix, who started outside of the top 10 originally on a set of mediums, and I'm sure most of you are aware, in Formula 1, if it's a dry race, you have got to use 2 different types of dry tyres. So that is why they have gone for the hards. They had no choice, whereas Neymar, AMG did have that option. They've gone for a set of hards. Dresse, who had just pitted onto a set of softs after his incident with Sway, he's gone onto a set of hard tyres as well. So clearly not having another set left. We are under the safety car conditions here then. Lap 6 out of 27 just allows everyone to close up. And this first few laps might be what Scott and Carvin Rob need. They could do with Neymar acting as a bit of a buffer and keeping Zoidema and Tibos, who we know are 2 very fast drivers, behind him for as long as possible, especially until the Mercedes' tyres warm up.
Indeed. it's going to be very interesting to see, because that's what I personally thought when that incident in Silverstone happened, I thought the strategy was wrong, but yet Sigma proved me wrong. So it's a situation where they probably have better numbers than I currently have, and that's why I'm not getting paid anything to be sitting on a steward's box without making calls. But it's a situation where, again, because in theory, it's still possible, but again, this was basically a bad time for it to come out. Couple laps later, and I think the call would have been clear. But even shocking is even the medium runners came in, because obviously you want the free pit stop, and I guess they think they can make it to the end as well. So I guess take a different strategy, because you don't want to pit once anyway. But still, a bit odd. Yeah,
I think those medium runners coming in does make me think that a lot of them have the point of view that the mediums aren't going to last. They've had the experience of what the tyres are like in the race, of course, on a heavy set of fuel load. And Scott, Corbin, Rob, they've got lighter fuel loads than they had at the start of the race, of course, but they're still going to be carrying, what, even at this point, 35, 40 kilograms of fuel around, of course, in their cars, putting extra load on the tyres through acceleration, through braking, through steering. And that's going to wear the tyres out more in these first few laps, of course. Only driver with a penalty is Sway at this moment in time. He currently has a 3-second time penalty that will be added onto his time at the end of the race. Interesting to see how this restart happens. It will definitely happen on this lap. The Aston Martin safety car will be claiming well out of the way. It looked like Scott, in the first couple of laps of the race, really had the pace. He was stuck behind Corbin Rob. There's going to be no DRS until lap 10 because of this safety car, and that might allow Scott, maybe, I'd say judging by the first couple of laps, might even see Scott break that 1 second window.
Maybe indeed, but then again, Rob was not that slow. He was, again, I think he was just overdriving on a heavy fuel load. He's maybe a little bit stronger in the long run, because he was kind of still keeping up. I think the main problem is he was just overdriving, and so I don't think he'll get away that fast. Maybe I'm just got that Ferrari biased here, but I think he'll just keep close. I think it will be interesting to see, but I think Rob will keep it close at least till the 3-second window ends. The DRS opens, and then we'll see. I don't think he'll break the train.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, safety car is coming in this lap, so that is going to peel off into the pit lane very shortly, and it is all up to Scott now to decide how to control this pace. What effect is Neymar going to have in that Mercedes? What's his tyres going to be like? I'm sure he's been warming them up vigorously under the safety car. And when will Scott put the hammer down to get us back to green flag racing? Everyone bunching together, and it looks like Scott isn't too far away, and there we go, he is off racing once again. Lap number 8 of this Japanese Grand Prix gets underway. Hopefully we've got 20 laps of green flag action to go, and look at Zoidema all over the back of Neymar already. Is he going to try it round the outside into turn number 1? Championship leader, he's holding on there. This is very brave to do in this situation, but I think he knows how much the hard tyres are going to struggle at this point. What a move by Zoidema. Gets himself back up into 3rd place. That looked like the only move, and it could be an important one.
I don't know if I would have tried that personally, because if I'm championship leader right now, I'd rather sit in 4th, because it's better than nothing. Because if he gets a little sideswiped and that car's in the fence, that's no points for him today. That's 0, and that would bring the gap from like 40 to 10. So it's a situation where it takes a lot of fortitude, you could say, to make it work. But one other thing that caught my eye, though, is Timos really did not time that safety car restart at all. He was a second behind Zudima off the line there. So any chance of him capitalizing on that went kind of to the wayside. And now he'll have to pass Neymar Gaming, but he's even kind of struggling to get close as well. So it just shows if you don't get the safety car right, it could easily throw a monkey wrench in your plans.
Yeah, certainly can cause all sorts of problems. The hard runners do look to be struggling at the moment. You can see Tom all over the back of his teammate Phoenix at the moment. David all over the back of AMG. Dave and Caladre have just dropped off ever so slightly. And look at this, Phoenix going to the inside. Is he going to let his teammate by? That did look like a very choreographed move there from the two McLaren. So Tom up into 10th place. Now can he use those medium tyres to try and push himself up the order? He was on those earlier. Let's not forget, he'd already done a couple of laps on those tyres before the safety car. So it will be interesting to see how things pan out for him. Fastest lap of the race then from Zoidema. Corbin Rob has stayed within DRS range. I know it's not activated this time around as AMG down the inside of Dave into turn number 1. Gets that done. Dave realising the battle we've lost and just allows AMG to move up into 7th place. Neymar, he's really dropped off on those hard tyres. The front 3 have already got away from him, and this might make it difficult at this point, and it might also just allow those top 3 drivers to save their tyres ever so slightly, knowing they've got a bit of a gap. We'll have to wait and see how this race pans out. Still 2/3 to go.
But again, are you really going to... I mean, right now, Rob is not someone that knows when to let off. So it's a situation where I want to say they'll take conservatively. Maybe Zoma, because he's got enough buffer that he doesn't have to risk it. But if you're Rob and Scott, I don't know if there's no choreographed back-off situation. Because if one backs off, the other passes. So it's a situation where even under that pressure, unless they're all in each other's ears, like, all right, we'll back off together, then maybe. But there's good luck trying to convince Rob and Scott to do that while Zunima's in that pack as well. But one other thing to catch up is that just right now we have the Dave and Dave show in 8th and 9th, and I just kind of find that interesting that 2 Daves, a Dave and a David, are fighting for 1 position on track. But yeah, Rob's still staying in touch here, and DRS activated next time by. It feels like, as I was kind of thinking, is as the fuel load gets a little bit lower, it feels like Rob really shines.
Yeah, certainly did do a fantastic job. Obviously qualified ahead of Scott. Just again getting a bit squibbly though, coming through that final corner through turn 18, and that gives Scott the buffer he needs. Whether that will be enough once DRS has been activated next time around, we'll have to wait and see. Tibos is going to fly his way then past Neymar. He is now up into 4th place. You can see the Alpine has got that position already. 2.2 seconds off the battle for the lead of the race. And let's not forget, Tibos still kind of hanging on to the coattails of this championship battle with 4 races remaining. He is 58 points behind, so mistakes from those top 3, you never know, could drag Tibos right in there. Definitely still fighting to get to the top 3 in the championship, but those top 3 in the championship are top 3 in the race at the moment. But it's the man who's leading the championship in 3rd, and Scott, the man who is 2nd, leading this race, keeping Carvin Rob is keeping him honest, and Zoidema keeping Rob honest, and that might just affect whether we see a lot of battle in here, because Rob knows he can't afford to dive one up the inside. We've already seen these two bump into each other, but with how close Zoidema is this time around, then that just led to the Williams driver saying, thank you very much, I'll take the lead of the race.
Yeah, indeed. If they get a little bit too scrappy, again, they may be their own worst enemy. It could be a little bit of mutually assured destruction here. One takes out the other, they both end up in ruin. So they have to, Rob has to be conservative but aggressive, if that makes sense, because too aggressive and they bake any chance of catching even harder. So it's a situation, but there goes Zoidema on the, try to hang it around the outside there. Not going to be enough, but definitely shows that Williams is not taking his chance here, taking conservatively, and just taking a quick look at the tire wear as they cross the line here. You got Scott at 11, Rob at 10, and Zoidema at 9, and Tibos at 11s. But the thing what's worth noting is Neymar's at 8. So those mediums will probably kind of cool off a little bit, but even then, it's still worth noting that the wear difference is not that much, you would think at the very least. So it's a situation where it's about 10%, 4 laps. That's some math I have to do quickly in my head, but it's a situation where it may be interesting to see by the end.
Yeah, certainly. It's about 2.5% a lap. We always say 70-75% is where they're starting to get towards that penalty range, and that could be about 18-19 laps, which roughly how much they're going to have to do on these tyres. So who knows? It looks like Dave's had a bit of a bad run. He's allowed David past him, who's up into 8th, and Tom's also got ahead of him. So Elite NL Dave still in the top 10 at the moment. He has got Phoenix all over the back of him. Conti, Dressy, and Sway pretty close as well. Sway recovering after that first lap shenanigans, as again Dave has a massive moment, and that's going to allow Phoenix to get up into 11th place and might even give his teammate a bit of a chance to challenge. But it does look like Conte is just a tad too far behind at the moment. Now that the hards are starting to get up to temperature, we're seeing the drivers do better. Neymar, he's not getting dropped by Tibos all of a sudden. He is all over the back of him as we've got a yellow flag. And that is Dave. That is Dave, who's had a spin at the front of the race, though. Carvin Rob again looking very close to the back of Scott. It's just coming through turn number 18. With coming through the chicane, he seems to not be able to get close enough. And through turn number 18. And perhaps just too far around behind to realistically have a go here. This is definitely closer than he's been earlier on, though. He's going to try it all the way around the outside. And there's a spinner. Scott spins it. Not sure if there was contact. Camera angle was not the best, but that is the last thing he wanted. The second time those two have gone side by side through turn 1. And it is the second time there's been contact. This time, the Red Bull comes off worse.
Yeah, and it also gave Rob 3 seconds worth of time penalties as well, but just check to see if there's any damage. It doesn't look like there's any damage, but yeah, it's just a situation where Scott luckily gets refired, but now he's 3 behind, and luckily he's got no damage, but he's not going to try to reel him back here, and he has tire wear about the same as the rest of the pack there, so it's a situation where Neymar may be a little bit salvating right now, knowing that if they start getting scrappy, it's a situation work, but like I said, mutually assured destruction. Because Scott and Rob kind of touched there, it's a situation where now Zoidema gains a spot and now makes it a lot easier for him to win and thus hurt each other in the long run.
Yeah, he's got 30% more ERS than the Ferrari driver ahead of him at that moment. That is going to play a crucial part. Interestingly now, that's Dressy out of the race. Now, is that going to cause another safety car? It is indeed. Coming through that long right-hander, it's not normally one where you see too many drivers lose the car there. We have got another safety car. If you've got another fresh set of mediums, do you think about coming into the pits?
You take them, because that will instantly take away no pit stop strategy. You pit right now. If you're on a hard, you pit for mediums. If you got Neymar right now, Kadede, AMG, you pit for mediums. If you're on mediums right now, and Rob's coming in, which I don't blame him if he's got a fresh set, take it. Zoidema's staying out. Scott probably should come in as well. So yeah, I don't disagree with the strategy. Pit now, and if most of the field does, it would probably be smart. So we'll see if they decide what they put on. It looks like, set of softs though for Scott. and I can't find Rob. I'll find Rob in a second. He put on a set of mediums, so Scott puts on a set of softs, though. There's no way those make it. Well, they could, but they're not going to be strong by the end, so I don't know what Scott's thinking there. But again, maybe it's a situation where he knows more than I do.
Yeah, but it's going to be bold. I mean, we're talking half a race distance, a couple of laps under the safety car. We're talking half a race distance on a set of soft tyres, and Suzuka, it's not as bad on tyre wear as it has been on some previous games, but I wouldn't say it's exactly light on tyre wear. He's going to be under a bit of pressure there. Sway's also going for a set of soft tyres. It looks like Scott had actually gone out on a slightly worn set of soft tyres. I swear as he was leaving the pit lane, it was saying on the task system 3-4% on that set of soft tyres. So that is very interesting. That is the strategy he's gone for.
He didn't even get a fresh set of soft tires, so I don't know. Yeah, unless he didn't have another set of mediums. But even then, they can't be that worn, Harrison. But then he should have just stayed out, because the more I think about it, we'll get 2 laps on the safety car. It'll be lap 15, and we'll have 13 to go. That is more than reasonable to make it on a set of mediums per se, at the very least. It may not be the fastest, but looking at like Taz right now, Zadim is at 15. If we assume 2 laps on a safety car, about 1-2%, and then by the end, you're looking at about 40%, 45% instead of the 50, 55, 60% range. So in theory, you can make that work. So I'm actually thinking Sudima may have pulled the better strategy here. I don't blame Rob 100% for trying it as well. Maybe just see if you can push it. But I think they were banking on more drivers coming in, because they're right now in 8th and 9th respectively, and it's a hard track to pass at, and they got to carve the way through 2 McLarens, a Ferrari, 2 Mercedeses, and an Alpine and a Williams to get back up. Now I look at it more, I think staying out was maybe the better call. And I think Rob may have pulled the bad strategy there.
Yeah, we have got some breaking news in the chat. Scott meant to go on medium tyres, and the game has put him on a set of soft tyres. And there we go, back into the pit lane again. Pit lane costing Scott, well, safety car periods costing Scott. Last week, under a VSC, caught speeding, ended up having to serve a drive-through penalty. This time, he's having to come in again for a set of the medium tyres. I think Sway is in the exact same situation as well. He's coming for another set of mediums. All of a sudden, they're right at the back of the field, 12th and 13th. It's falling apart again for the championship rivals of Zoidema. I don't think, especially after the way lap 1 is coming, I don't think he'd have expected at the halfway point of the race to be leading, Rob to be in 8th, and Scott to be in 12th position.
Yeah, it's a situation where it's just not good at all. And again, I think Steam is licking his lips right now. Very, very happy about this indeed. And it's just, sometimes you got to be lucky than good. And right now, luck seems to at least be favoring the Williams driver over the Red Bull and the Ferrari. But again, still a long ways to go. If Tibos puts a challenge on or Neymar's hards come in, this could be easily looking at 25-24. Next thing you know, he's in the wall, and that's 0 points. So it's a situation where don't count your chickens with they hatch. But right now, if you look like one of those win probability charts right now of championship odds, Zima's just went even higher right now at the current state.
Yeah, interesting you said it's better to be lucky than good. It seems like Zoidema, he might have been a bit lucky this season. Some could argue that. He's definitely been very, very good. No question about that. He's leading the race at this moment in time. Tibos in second. This would be, if it stays as it is, Tibos' best result of the season. Joint best with Silverstone, and it'll also be Neymar's joint best with the last race out at Belgium. How his hard tyres are going to cope, I'm not sure. After this safety car period, normally, obviously, worn tyres take a bit longer to warm up. Harder tyres take a lot longer to warm up. So we'll have to see how this tyre warm-up factor affects these drivers, and that might be what just helps Carvin Rob out ever so slightly on the fresh set of mediums. It won't be too long before we find out, though. Safety car's coming in this lap.
Yeah, we'll see here how he gets a restart here. Only thing I want to say, though, is Neymar's only about 2% different than Zoidema. So it's a situation where, I don't know if those hards were the right choice, but we'll see it anyway. You got to make your bet. Now you got to rely on it. When will the Williams driver go here? He will go relatively quickly there. Looks like everyone did relatively okay. No one really caught napping like last time. Tibos a lot better off in that restart than he was last time as well, but no major passing opportunities to see here yet. A little bit of swerving from the McLaren to get heat in those tires.
Yeah, certainly. Just trying to keep the heat in those tyres. But it is Zoidema, Tibos, Neymar, AMG, David Jahud, top 5, as they were, of course, heading across the line to start that lap. Scott already making moves on that set of medium tyres, jumping Conti, the Red Bull driver, up into 11th. You know it's now or never. He's got to drive the 13 laps of his life if he wants to really stay and have a realistic chance in this championship. Likewise, Carvin Rob, he's all over the back of Phoenix, who's had a slight wobble through the Dunlop curve once again. Is Phoenix going to be able to get past? No, Degner's not really an overtaking opportunity unless the car ahead makes a massive mistake. And I wonder if there has been one through the S's somewhere, because Zoidema, he's got off like a rocket on this lap. He's 2 seconds ahead coming out the hairpin.
I think as well. I think Timmels may have made a slight mistake. I was kind of riding the Rob train and Scott train. Now Scott's passed. They already made 2 passes right now on those mediums. And we also got Carly Rob passing Phoenix. We got to see him trying to make 2 McLarens in one move. Maybe the Ferrari ahead of him. David may have set a little bit of a pick, but he can't pass Tom. He tried it, but doesn't want to risk throwing it all up right now. But he's definitely making all right pace right now. And I just want to say right now, probably right now, was in their headset right now. They probably got that initial D music right now playing, that Euro beat, knowing it's put up or shut up, and they got to go quick. It's chase down music. And if you want to have a chance at the championship, you have to go now. And Rob's up to 7th, and Scott's 10th. But yeah, I think Timmels may have made a slight mistake, and that is going to make it even easier for Zoidema to kind of back it down, and take it conservatively. But instead of the fast lap of the race already, doesn't look like there's any signs of slowing down yet. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Scott has had an absolutely fantastic first lap after the safety car. No DRS, of course. He's got past 2 cars. He's effectively got past 3, and Timmels in the gravel. That's going to promote them even further up the order. The Alpines had a nightmare race in Belgium, and for one reason or another, it's not gone well for them here. Timmels, whether he lost it on his own or there was contact, not sure. Didn't see anything, unfortunately, from the camera angle. We were looking further down the order, but he is now all the way down the back of the field. Zoidema's lead goes up to 3 seconds, and Rob and Scott, that's good news for them. That is 1 less car. They have to get ahead. Look at Scott down the inside at the second. Degner on Phoenix. Phoenix gets bumped off ever so slightly, and Caladre, I think, might be saying thank you very much and trying to challenge the McLaren driver as well. Very late on the brakes into the hairpin. The McLaren driver holds on for now. Scott and Carvin Rob showing exactly the kind of racing they have got to. Like you said, it's put up or shut up. There's no point hanging around, taking your time in this situation. They've just got to go for things. They are up to 6th and 7th, Rob and Scott respectively. Zoidema, though, 3.4 second lead, can just afford to take things a tiny bit easy. Not too easy, though. It is very easy to lose concentration once you do that.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of take your foot off the gas and just kind of start taking conservatively. Next thing you know, there's a second gone. But looking at the situation, it's because if he pushes too hard, at least we talked about earlier on the set, if you take a situation where you push too hard and try to keep that gap, not flip a switch, you may end up in the gravel trap like Timmels just happened right there. And I just want to say, I feel sorry for Timmels a little bit. As now we're going to see, I'll hold that thought for a second, as Rob's now going to pass the McLaren driver, and he's going to be all the way up to 5th. Can he hold it? Yes, he will. So 5th up to him. Now he's got his team up the chuff here. Obviously, the quick little radio communication, get the you-know-what out of the way, because Rob's on a mission. And if Scott does get close, Rob, this is where it actually may hurt to not have a teammate, because right now Scott doesn't have that 1 extra mulligan that he can use to get around. But just to finish my point, Zoidema as well, doing all right, and it's a situation where you don't want to take foot off the gas. And Timmels, it's just been kind of a sad season for him right now, and he needs to kind of just, something has gone wrong mentally or physically, and it's a situation where he needs to refine and just kind of regroup for next season. Try to take it and put it for next season.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, even if we go back to race 1 of the season, where he could well have toughed the victory, instead he got a puncture and finished 12th. If it wasn't for that, he'd be 2nd in the championship. He'd be really right in this championship battle now. Any chance of it really has gone out the window. He's going to need an absolute miracle to end up taking the championship. He's pretty much going to be mathematically out of it at the end of this one. We'll get a few points if he finishes, of course, but we'll be a long way down the order. Those Mercedes on the hard tyres still not showing too much pace at this moment in time. Neymar in 2nd position. F1 AMG currently in 3rd place. Zoidema still with that 4.3 second lead. Rob, he has got his teammate in front of him, and I'm sure if they are communicating, now would be the time, like you said, to get the out of the way. But Rob, he's got a 3-second time penalty. He's got a DRS train behind him. This might cost him. It would currently lose him a position to Tom, to Scott, and also not far off losing a position to Dave as Rob goes deep into turn number 2. Tom says, thank you very much. I'll retake 5th.
Yep, Rob there made a slight mistake there, and that's what you can't do. Now Scott's on the back of the chuff, and I think right now Rob's kicking himself for that 3-second time penalty, because now, yeah, it's really gonna hurt him in the long scheme of things, and it's gonna be hard to break. We do have the yellow flag sector 1, that is sway off into the kitty litter, right in the S section. He'll get refired, no damage, so no safety car will be thrown. But yeah, it's a situation where right now the Ferrari, he's just kind of kicking himself for that 1 mistake. And it's something that just happens. You have to keep yourself clean in the race. And right now with Zoidema not having any pressure from behind, it's now up to 4.5. Neymar, I just don't think will run them down on those hards unless those mediums just disintegrate. But looking at percentages, they're good to go to the end. As now Conti has crashed or he's retired. He's crashed on track, and that's another safety car. So neutralize the field, and Sway has also lost the back end as well. But neutralize the field. We're going to see a couple drivers take the hard right, and I don't know if this is good or bad for Rob and Scott, because now they could pit, get some softs, but they just basically lost all that track position for nothing.
Yeah, they can pit and get some softs, as can every other car in the field that has got a fresh set of soft tyres, I imagine. So surely we are going to see a few drivers coming to the pits. Then our third safety car. We don't normally seem to get too much in TTML. I seem to have talked about a few crashes that we thought should have been a safety car and haven't been. This time, they've all been. Race director very keen to get the Aston Martin out. Can't blame him.
This has stayed out. They're probably gambling on those hards. As we do see Rob coming in, David Choff coming in. The problem is Rob's going to get double stacked, so they probably should have communicated a little bit better there.
Rob's not come in. He stayed out.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, you're correct. Scott stayed out as well, so they're banking on Zonima not be able to carve on those softs. So different strategies here. So if you pitted on that last safety car, or if you're the two Mercedes, you're staying out. Yet if you decide to stay out, you're coming in. So interesting.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. I think Rob, Scott and Dave made the right decision. Like you said, they pitted under the last safety car. Their mediums are still in fairly good condition. They're going to have some defending to do. We've already seen, though, it's not the easiest thing to do to pass around this circuit, and it's almost like watching F1 over the last few years. Perhaps not so much in 2021. We have got a Mercedes 1-2 here in the Japanese Grand Prix. 8.5 laps to go. Neymar started on pole position. Let's not forget, had a bit of a nightmare on the first lap of the race. Went to those hard tyres which didn't show some pace, and all of a sudden he is back up into the lead. And Dave, fair play to him at this moment in time, up 9 positions. How hard he's going to find it to stay there with a lot of very fast soft tyre runners behind him, we'll have to wait and see. But if he keeps it clean with the penalty situation, who knows, a few more drivers might pick up penalties as well. I will quickly actually go through the number of warnings for the major protagonists in this race. No warnings for Neymar, 1 for AMG. Carmen Rob has 5, so he's 1 away from a second 3-second time penalty. Scott has 2, Dave has 1, Zoidema has none, David Chahud has 1, Tom has none, Caladre, he has 3, and Tibos has 1 at this moment in time. So Carmen Rob, he's going to have some defending to do. He's got to be very, very careful, though. Another 3-second time penalty with how tightly packed the field is going to be curtains for his chance of definitely getting the race win, probably even getting a podium and a decent point score as well.
But he also has to go fast. It's Schrodinger's box, basically. Schrodinger's cat, I should say, where it's a situation where he has to go fast, but he also has to go slow, not to pedalize. And he's got 2 hard runners in front of him where, in theory, should be fast enough to get around them both because of the tire advantage. Because we're looking at AMG's got 31% on his hards, and Neymar's got 25. So in theory, the advantage should be both him and Scott. But again, maybe right now, maybe a little bit of a truce between Rob and Scott. Like, look, get around the Mercedeses, put them behind us, make them moving chicanes for Stoinema and David Shaw, etc., and then we'll fight. But let's not fight until, because right now Scott doesn't have to fight with that 3-second time penalty, but let's not fight until we're both 1-2, because for the greater good of the championship.
Yes, certainly. Of course, Scott, as you said, at this moment in time would go up into 3rd place. It depends on what pace Rob can show. It depends whether their mediums are still in a good condition to counteract the hard tyres of Neymar and AMG, who I think will still be struggling on this restart. So that could be the advantage that Rob and Scott needed, a bit like what we thought they had after the first safety car, where Zoidema pulled off that fantastic move around the outside of Neymar. Very brave from him. That allowed him to get up the order. Then we saw, obviously, Rob and Scott make contact. Rob coming into the pit, Zoidema staying out. That got him into a lead, and then last time, Zoidema was the one to come into the pit. He is the lead car, though, on those soft tyres. But we can safely say now, there's no tyre wear worries. You can push right towards the end. Likewise, no fuel worries.
That indeed as well. So it's a situation where, again, yeah, right now, the only thing worth knowing is AMG's basically right now 2 Mercedes. One's going to be the rear gunner, the other one's going to be the lead pilot. And it's a situation where one's going to protect for the other if they want that podium. Because right now, they could easily help themselves in the Constructors. The Constructors getting real fast. It's a situation where they're currently 5th at 126, but a 1-2 here today definitely would help them re-jump up the Constructors, definitely past the Ferraris and the Alpines for sure, and maybe even get closer to the Red Bulls and the Williams of the day.
Yeah, let's not forget, of course, Red Bull and Williams on 1 driver each tonight. Charlie Harris and TDB unable to make it for those 2 teams, respectively. Safety car will be coming in on this lap again for the 3rd time. There we go. Who knows? We might still be seeing it again in this race, depending on the carnage. Neymar, he's not had this experience of leading the safety car in this race. He's lost a bit of time on both of the restarts purely because of the tyres. What is he going to do? They've tended to go just coming out of this final chicane is when we've seen them light up the rear tyres and put the power down. He's slowing it right down at this moment in time, but again, going at that same point. Not the cleanest of restarts, though, from Neymar. He could find himself under a bit of track pressure from his teammate, who could find himself under a bit of pressure from Carvin Rob. We are back to green flag racing again. Mercedes, Ferrari on this run down towards turn number 1. Scott getting caught napping ever so slightly. Likewise with Dave, but everyone through the first couple of corners cleanly at this moment in time. Rob almost pushing the Mercedes through the first parts of the S's, but it's all single file at this part of the circuit. But you can see AMG just not able to stick to that racing line as much at this moment in time, and that's allowing Scott to get close to the back of Rob, the Ferrari driver, getting held up as well. Now he's doing the bump drafting, bump cornering, I think you can almost say, as they're coming through Dunlop and the Degners. Neymar in the lead, AMG second, Rob in third, Scott fourth, Dave fifth, Zoidema in 6th place. No one really able to use their tyre advantage at this moment in time. Zoidema thinks about one down the inside of Dave, and he might be able to pull that off, and it looks like he's going to have the traction to do so. And up ahead, Scott gets ahead of Carwin Rob.
Yeah, Rob was on the grass there and not very much to go, so Rob was trying to fight on, and this is, again, what the two Mercedes want to see. Want to see them all fight here. Softs and mediums kind of fight each other and fight enough that it allows the hard drivers just to kind of tick away from the laps and just survive, and that's what they want to see right now. Now Scott, with no time penalties, can try to reel him in, while Rob, again, just needs to focus on getting as much gap as possible, per se, because right now he'd fall down the order very fastly if that what the current times hold. Is now Choff is actually the Ferrari's got around the Dave battle, and the other Dave's off into the kitty litter there, so a little bit of a 1-2 bargy situation, and Elite Dave was looking good. Now have to pit, so very just bad one lap there for him, as now he gets 5 for speed in the pit lane to add insult to injury, and he's now retired. So just bad to worst to awful there, as now Zoidema is on the back of Rob.
Yeah, Zoidema putting all sorts of pressure on Rob. He tried it down the inside into turn 1. Was never really close enough for that to be a realistic move that time around. So we are down to just 11 runners then. Tibos and Sway, despite having a bit of a disastrous race, I think they wouldn't be afraid to admit that, are still going to get a fairly okay fall of points. And we might see them coming to the pits again at the end to try and steal that fastest lap point. It's what Tibos did last time around at the Belgian Grand Prix. Here we are then on board with Scott B in 3rd place at the moment. Would stay second in the championship as things stand. He would get an extra 20 points from this race. Zoidema would currently get, we'll just check who's got the fastest lap at the moment. It is still Zoidema at this moment in time. He's got the fastest lap, so Scott would only gain 2 points as things stand on the Williams driver. It's a start, but not really enough at this late stage of the season.
It's like paying a $1,000 loan with 2 pennies. You're making a start, but at what point is it just like you have to put more down? And there's not much he could do, but he needs help, because right now he needs some kind of divine intervention. If that horseshoe is going to fall out, it should fall out now. He needs something like 2016 with Rosberg and Hamilton, where Hamilton had that engine mistake. Now Rob gets 3 multiple warnings, just insult to injury there. But just to finish my point, Zoidema needs a situation where that engine needs to let go, but there is no engine failures here in the virtual world, at least in this game. So it's a situation where he's pretty much going to need to hope that a miracle happens. Now he throws up the inside. Scott passes AMG for 2nd position there, saw the door open, knows he has to go, and has to put another car in between them quickly.
Yeah, I sort of switched away from that because I thought it looked like Scott had just sort of given up on that position, but AMG just leaving the door open and Scott diving one down the inside, gets himself up into 2nd place. He will have DRS next time around, and Neymar ahead of him won't. This might just be the opportunity Scott needs to get, amazingly, for the man who is 2nd in the championship at the moment, his 1st race of the season. He's had 2 podiums so far, a 2nd in Austria and 3rd in Britain. Yet to taste the champagne, though, on the top step of that podium. Carvin Rob all over the back of AMG as well. Zoidema has not been able to slowly start making his way up the field, and it makes a slight mistake on the exit of the hairpin there. Does stay in 5th place. The car's not really close enough to cause any problems. Phoenix has lost out ever so slightly. He's got Kaledre, Tibos and Sway behind him. Tibos is going to actually gain 2 places on penalties as things stand. Rob's going to drop quite a few because of his 2nd time penalties. He might even end up dropping behind Tibos, but still 4 and a bit laps to go. Still plenty of time for other drivers to make mistakes. We've seen so many spins, so many near misses as well around this circuit. Here we are though, back on board with the lead battle though. 4 laps to go at the end of this one. Is there anything Neymar's going to be able to do on the one down to turn 1 to block Scott off. He's using his last bits of ERS at the moment. Scott, even then, is gaining before he opens for DRS, and I think you're going to see him sweep to the inside. Thank you very much, says Scott. He takes the lead of this race.
The one thing right now he's hoping to see right now is if you look in the rears, now it looks like Zoidoma is going to pass the Ferrari. That was pretty much a given spot anyway because of the time penalties, but he's going to hold on the Ferrari, but he's not going to be enough. The Ferrari's just seeing his championship hopes go up in smoke. But the one thing that's going to help him right now is that he was Rob was holding up Zoidoma a little bit, but now Rob's going to have to pass 2 hard runners on a set of softs, which is going to be a lot easier. So that is something where I think he was hoping that Rob may have held up a little bit more as he thought about making a pass there. But the question is, how aggressive will the Williams driver be, knowing that if he gets around, and now he'll just get passed around AMG kind of quickly here off his apron, so I'd say even quicker than I thought. So it's a situation where he just senses blood in the water, he's taking it, and he's just getting 2 spots, and 2 spots where you don't really see passing. And this is all what Scott does not want to see. He wished the race was called maybe 1 lap ago instead of now, as now Rob's even gotten past AMG as well, so AMG's really struggling, but Neymar maybe a little bit more of a challenge for both the Williams and the Ferrari.
Yeah, Neymar doing a respectable job at the moment of just sticking within that all-important 1 second window. I think AMG made a slight mistake coming through the second Degner, and that is what cost him. Yellow flag in the background. That is Sway, who is around once more, and so still managing to stay in this race as Neymar has now dropped just outside of 1 second, and that might allow Zoidoma to get himself up into second place as Scott's starting to just think, oh no, oh not again. How many times have we seen Zoidoma come back from situations this season where we didn't think he was going to claim the victory? Here we go. Neymar did get the DRS in the end, but even with that, he's not got the pace. Down the inside goes Zoidoma. The Williams man back up into second. Can he take the lead in the final 3 laps of this race?
We'll have to wait and see. The Eurobeat is on, or you want to use a more movie reference, the Jaws music's playing right now. Scott is just thinking, what do I have to do? He's just thinking, why can't I get some luck like he has right now? I'm not saying that's all. Zoidoma's got the pace to make it work, but if one of those cars breaks wrong or holds him up an extra lap, this is more of Scott's race. So things have kind of divine intervention, but sometimes you make your own luck. So right now, again, Zoidoma is just slowly reeling at Scott. And I honestly think Zoidoma will kind of get around right now, use that fresh, soft pace. But how much of a fight will Scott put? Because he knows if Zoidoma gets around him again, I don't think it's curtains, but it's definitely, he's going to need something to help him, and I just don't know if it's going to be enough, as now Rob has actually made his way up to 3rd.
Yeah, Rob there getting ahead of Neymar. Neymar tries to hold on, I think, realises, well, perhaps maybe looking at the penalty, should think, you know what, let him go at this moment in time. Try to hang on to his coattails to make sure other soft runners don't get past myself and my teammate, but just let Rob go. At this moment in time, he has got that 6 seconds. Of course, Scott and Zoidoma, they're very close on the ERS usage, I believe, at this moment in time, so that might sort of negate that slight advantage. They're pretty much identical, actually, coming out of the final corner, but one's got soft tyres and one is going to have the DRS. It's another fastest lap from Zoidoma. Scott thinks about defending, realises he can't do a lot at this moment in time. Down the inside into turn 1. That is Zoidoma into the lead of this race. Is it going to be a 3rd victory, which is really perhaps just going to put the championship out of realistic reach, especially if Zoidoma does attend the final 3 races. Tom, after a bad qualifying, he's done a pretty decent race at the moment. He's on for P5 when you count Carvin Rob's penalty. That could be something to watch out for as well. Can Rob fight his way and just build up a gap behind some of those other cars? Otherwise, it's going to be another podium for Neymar. And can Scott? I don't think it's over just yet. Scott hangs in there, saves a bit of ERS, gets a good exit coming out of that final chicane like he did on the first few laps of this race. He could still retake the lead.
Again, the question is, how aggressive will he be? At what point is it worth it? Because does he think this, if he loses here again, does he think it's curtains? Because at that point, if you push a man against the wall hard enough, he'll do whatever he has to do to win. And I'm not saying he's going to dump him, because that would get him so much penalties and so much in trouble that it wouldn't be worth it. But how aggressive will he take that corner into 1? How aggressive will he RG-bargy try to get in there to make it work? We'll have to wait and see on that front. But we're coming to 1 to go, round 130. He gets a kind of a good entry here. He could try something in the hairpin, or will he just back it off and take it conservatively? He'll back off line just enough. Give him a little tap for Zoidoma. It's going to be a run down the line here. Past hairpin, it looks like the Williams got the better exit, though. Open DRS, we're going to see here. Fast lap by the Williams. Red Bull's going to have a chance here. Going to get all the toe possible. Looks like Zoidoma's going to take the defensive line. Can they take it? Will he hold it on the outside? No, will not. He'll try to switch back. He'll try to throw the nose in there, but it's not going to be enough. Zoidoma will hold going to the S section.
It's not over yet. You saw how fast Scott was last time around through 130R. He didn't go for it into the chicane. He didn't want to give the Williams driver the DRS. Next time around, that's not going to matter. It is just going to be perhaps a straight fight into that final part of the circuit. Rob stays in third place. Not really gone to plan for him purely because of those penalties. He had that half spin earlier. Scott had that spin earlier on. We'll be interested to hear from the Red Bull driver whether there was contact in either.
Sick. I'm sorry, just gonna say, sorry to cut you off. Red Bull just got a little bit of a snap of oversteer that's gonna hurt him in the championship there. But yeah, to finish your point on Rob, yeah, it's definitely gonna hurt him.
Yeah, it's going to hurt him indeed. Phoenix pretty close to the back of David Chahud, who's close to Tom as well. This battle for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th out on circuit. Tibos is a bit further back, but we're going to go to the one that we're all interested in, of course. Not that Allison's a brilliant battle for the lower points positions, but here comes Zoidema and Scott. And Zoidema, he saved a bit more VRS, and that might just make the difference here because Scott, even with the slipstream, he's not closing in on the run towards 130R. Red light flashing on the Williams driver ahead. He's not going to be close enough to have a go into this final chicane, and all Zoidema has to do is bring it around the final couple of corners. It's been another fantastic performance from the championship leader. He takes victory for the third time this season. Zoidema leads home Scott. Carvin Rob will plummet down the order, giving Neymar his second podium in a row. AMG 4th, Tom 5th, Chahud 6th, Tibos 7th, Rob down in 8th place. In the end, I think it was Phoenix in 9th, Caladre is 10th, I believe, and Sway, the 11th and final finisher. Pretty much perfect from Zoidema, took the victory, took himself the fastest lap, extends that championship lead once more. Fair play to Scott, though. He put up one heck of a fight.
Yeah, he did. He tried. He tried all he could. That was his last chance, I think, on that straight. And he went for it. He figured that was his last chance. He tried to go in. He tried to go out, and just not enough. He tried to stick it in, but Zoidema just brought it just enough on the second corner there, and it was too little too late. And I think once that Red Bull made that slip coming off the Dunlop situation, it was, I would say curtains, but ERS battle, I think the Williams had it, and Scott tried, but just not enough, and that hurts him. It's not going to be curtains yet, but that's another 6 points, I want to say, because Zoidema got the fast lap, and add 41 to 6 to go with 47. And yeah, not good with 3 rounds to go. He's going to need that Williams driver either to crash or not show up around.
Yeah, definitely. 48 points now, the lead. Zoidema beating Scott in that race. Neymar gets another podium. Not what he would have wanted from pole position, but still a great result. Once again, the Dane starting to show some real consistency at the end of this season, as is his teammate AMG. Good race for the Mercedes in 3rd and 4th. Tom taking 5th place, bit under the radar. David Chahud in 6th, Tibos in 7th, keeping it clean, really helping him. Not keeping it clean, really costing Carvin Rob. Could have been a podium. Instead, it is 8th place for him. Phoenix 9th, Caladre is 10th, Sway 11th, Dave, Conti, Dresse, and Sonoda were the retirements from a Japanese Grand Prix where we saw plenty of safety cars, and it was the strategy choices in that safety cars that perhaps made the difference. Scott came in for new tyres under the second one. Zoidema didn't. Zoidema came in for the fresh softs under the final one. And they just had enough grip to get him through the field.
Yeah, indeed. He made it work, and those softs timed it right and really pushed. So it's a situation where, again, if a few more drivers kind of got in his way there, maybe a different story we're talking about today. But again, different strategies and things happen sometimes. And again, Zoidema made his own luck.
Yeah, definitely. He just seems to get things right at the moment, makes crucial moves at the right time. That move round the outside of, I believe it was Neymar after the first safety car. We saw how difficult it was for some of the other drivers once they got stuck behind the Mercedes to move their way up the order. And fair play to Neymar and AMG. They made that hard strategy. They made that hard strategy work at the end of lap 1, at the end of the first safety car period. I think they'd have taken 3rd and 4th.
I honestly think they would have as well. And it's a situation where, again, that they made that hard strategy work, and with that penalty of Rob, it definitely helped them out in the end. But yeah, I think it worked. Maybe not the best strategy, but maybe they figured we don't have the best pace, so let's just see if chaos happens. And it kind of did.
Yeah, it did. Like I said, pretty much chaos. Drivers doing well to keep it calm in that situation. We expected Suzuka with its tight corners, with the gravel traps, to catch some of the drivers out. And it did. So unlucky for some of them. I think, just reading some of the chats, Sway, he had his own spin. And unfortunately for Dresse, he just got caught up in that accident. Didn't go straight away. So unlucky for him. We are starting to get some of the drivers in, though, for the interviews in this session. We are going to try and drag them in, and hopefully we can get the interviews ready. We're going to start off in reverse order with the man who finished in third position, and that was CPI Neymar. Neymar, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Congratulations, a third podium in a row for you. I can't imagine it was easy, especially on a set of hard tyres, which most drivers want to avoid around this circuit.
No, I hate the hard tires, so it was hard to the whole race with these hard tires.
Were you ever tempted to come into the pits? We saw the other two drivers who joined you on the podium come into the pits at the second or third safety car period, or once you'd put the hard tyres on, were you fully committed to that?
I felt I was, when I put the hard on, I was like I should stay with it to the end. But every safety car, I was thinking, if all stay out, it's good. If they pit, I'm dead. But it went well.
Yeah, went well, getting your second podium in a row. As we said, Pepsi, do you have any questions for Neymar?
Only thing I'd say is with only 3 rounds to go here, you did get some good points here today. I don't know if it's enough to really help you in the constructors, but I don't want to say your winning the championship's probably done, but it's not looking good. So are you guys, you and your teammate AMG, looking to try to catch in the constructors at the very least?
Yeah, we do. We do pretty good. And today my teammate helped me again with holding people up behind me.
That is good to hear. That is good to hear. So hopefully you guys can make a challenge and make the constructors a little interesting.
Yeah, let's hope.
All right, then.
Yeah, we'll have to say congratulations, Neymar, on that podium. We're now going to come to the man who finished in second place. Had quite a lot of action in that race. I think it's fair to say Scott, in the end, just couldn't quite hold on for the victory on those mediums.
Yeah, no, I pitted after the first safety car, and I went to go on to another set of mediums, and it put me on softs. So it sort of put me back a little bit. But yeah, no, Zidemi was very quick. I tried to keep with him on the last lap and sort of send it up the inside, but I couldn't quite do it and drove really well.
Yeah, it did look like a fantastic battle, just a few more inches alongside. Who knows what could have happened. You and Carvin Rob seem to enjoy trying to share the same piece of track. There was one incident which saw Carvin Rob being sent wide. There was a second one which we only caught the end of on stream that saw you being spun round. Was there contact in that incident?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, he literally left me no room at all. And you know what it's like on this game as well. As soon as you make contact, normally the crash physics are it just spun me round. But the safety cars sort of helped me out a little bit, thank goodness. But yeah, second position, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, still a good result for yourself. Consolidates that second place in the championship. Pepsi, do you have any questions?
Only thing I'd say is, again, I'll keep going for the championship questions here. With only 3 rounds to go, it does look like a very hard gap here. So I guess my only main thing is, what's your plan going in the final 3 rounds, if you have one?
Stay ahead of Rob. But to be honest, I'm one of these people, I don't give up until the end. So until I'm mathematically out, anything can happen. So, I don't wish bad luck on anyone, but if it happens, and, the fight's on.
Yep. No surrender, no giving up. That's good to see from you at the very least. So we'll see if you can maybe make this a little more interesting. But if anyone can do it, I think you have a good chance. So hopefully we see you here again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Definitely great to hear that never give up attitude. It is not over until the fat lady sings. But she might just be starting to warm them vocal cords up. It's a third victory this season then for Zuidema. Fantastic victory for yourself. The first lap looked a bit tricky for yourself. You almost got yourself up into second place. A few seconds later, you're down into fifth. I imagine at that point, victory wasn't exactly at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah, I got boxed in right off the start, and then I didn't have anywhere to go. And then people just went left, right. And I was like, I just need to keep it clean, stay on track, because I know I have the pace. And yeah, that was basically my thoughts after the first lap. And yeah, it worked out in the end, I guess.
Yeah, definitely worked out. Tell us, I don't know if you can remember because you made so many moves in that race. Tell us about the move you made round the outside of Neymar. Believe it was after the first safety car. You had the medium tyres, he was on the hards. Did you know you had to get past the cars on the hard tyres as quickly as possible to obviously maximise the results in this race?
Yeah, and I know like in the train here, it's really hard to overtake. I noticed that in the first few laps when I was behind Rob and Scott, and I knew I had to get past as soon as possible. And then I seen on the restart that he didn't have a really good exit out of the last corner, so I just straight went for it. And I knew I had medium tires, so I had more grip in that corner. So I kind of hoped it worked out well, and it did.
Yeah, definitely worked out very well for yourself. Pepsi, do you have any questions for the championship leader?
I would normally say something about the driver standings, but I'm actually going to give you a question about the constructor standings here. A little change up here. You're still currently in the constructor standings. I won't say it's a one-man show, but it's maybe a 1 1/2 show. So I guess, how are you going to take the constructor standings in the final 3 rounds here, knowing that you do have some pressure behind from Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, and even Alpine still?
I think the next 2 tracks are 2 good tracks for my teammate, if I remember correctly. So I'm hoping that he can score some good points, and hopefully we can stay ahead like that.
All right. I guess that's a pretty straight, clear-cut answer, so good to hear. Again,
Yeah.
we may see you here next week. I mean, from your 6 out of 7 podium so far, I think it's yeah, 6 out of 7? Yeah, 6 out of 7, correct. So I feel like we keep seeing here regularly, so there's a good chance we'll see you here next week, but I think Scott and Rob may not be hoping for that. But still, hope you have a good result next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, Zydemer. 3rd victory of the season, 6th podium. Now with a 48-point lead in the championships. Thanks also to the other drivers joining us for the interviews, Neymar and Scott as well. And seeing as Zydemer did mention the next 2 tracks, we'll take a quick look at the calendar here for the rest of the season. USA, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. USA is another one of those tracks. It can provide plenty of great racing. You don't really see the moves into that hairpin at the end of the long straight and carrying on all the way around. I'd say USA and Brazil especially, we could well see some weather.
Yeah, indeed. We can even see weather in the United States, so this is a chance we can see double rain, and who knows, again, chaos braids. Again, who knows?
Yeah, great to hear the attitude as well of the drivers. Scott saying never giving up. Zydemer, he didn't say it, but he didn't sound overconfident. He sounded like he has done every race so far this season, just taking it one step at a time. And that's the best thing he can do. You've said it all season long. As soon as you start thinking, oh my God, I've nearly won the championship, that's when the mistakes start to come in.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be fascinated to see what happens there. There is plenty of other TTML action, though. You can catch what's happened in F1 and F3 on the League Racing TV channel. There's also F4 and F5 action tomorrow night from 8 PM. The Sim League, where that could be very interesting to watch as well. I might conveniently make sure I'm missing this Sunday, judging by my previous record of spinning at any track, never mind Suzuka. That will be 8 PM on Sunday with Pepsi Freak taking you through that. And there's also BNL action on Saturday and CD action next Monday. But that is pretty much it then for this stream. Thank you so much to the drivers for what was a fascinating race, and for those that joined us in the interview box. Thank you to Pepsi for joining me in the comms box, and thank you so much to you guys as well. And we will see you in a week's time for what could well be a championship combination. Can Zydemer take it at United States, or will we see Scott and maybe even Carmen Robb just stretch it 1 week further? Take care of yourselves, enjoy the end of your week, and we will see you in a week's time. Goodbye.